Hello. Hello, everybody. It's more fanfic memes. Also, I think I gotta turn the music down a little bit more. I'm using a new setup, okay? It's different. Is that good enough? Maybe, hopefully, probably. Go one more decibel. That should be okay. Maybe. I hope. Okay. Meant to do this yesterday, but, you know, some stuff came up, so couldn't really. So we're doing it today. This is a fanfic for Viva Pinata called Dragonache Awakening. It's made by Shadow of Val Chat, and I'm reading it because Shadow of Val asked me to, pretty much. So, let's get to it. I meant to give this like a quick skim at some point, just to probably like facilitate actually reading the piece on stream, but unfortunately didn't get the chance to do that. So anybody watching the stream, anybody watching the VOD, we're about to experience it for the first time together. Unlike, you know, Post Fantasy, where I knew all the memes in multiple different ways. All right. So, let's come on over to the madness begin. Time to explore unknown territory. Pretty much. Background music recommendations, by the way, you just be Viva Pinata OST for the first couple chapters. Pretty sure it's no copyright. Well, every piece of music has copyright. I think I'll probably prefer to stick with like Falcon with the tracks that I've like that I usually use, because I know for sure, like, well, I mean, your experience tells you that Viva Pinata music is no problem, but like my experience also tells me that like Falcon music is absolutely no problem, and some Toho music is no problem. Depends on the circle. For Toho music, it's really weird. For some circles, it might be a problem. For others, like, you'll never see a content ID claim. Okay, let's get rid of the Estelle faces, just to make sure we are on live chat, because we are not on live chat, so let's bring that right there. There we go. Bring the Estelle faces right back. They're a permanent fixture on the stream, okay? They've been here for the last 4 years I've been streaming. They're not going anywhere. So, it's just the way it is. It's the way it's gotta be. Alright, so, bro, I got disturbing news earlier. Like, apparently, they released, like, Good Smile made an Android of Seal. It's like, bro, I already pre-ordered the Arcade. What are you doing to me? But anyway. We've got, this is the same person chat. Verify by seeing that that's the name. Okay. So we have this story here. We have a little description. Pinata Island is 2 weeks away from Valentine's Day Ball, but Professor Pester has different plans in mind. Rated T for graphic description, violence, and mild language. Oh. So we actually have, so I noticed there's a word count here. We got 11 chapters with 11,000, almost 12,000 words. So we might, you know, if I read fast, we might be able to finish this today. Because just to put that into perspective, all right. Not comparing one piece to another, because that's not really fair. But we're just comparing the word count. To put that into perspective, chapter 4 of Post Fantasy took us like 3 or 4 streams to get through. And that was 83,000 words. So, you know, we might be good. Chapter 12 is still in the oven for now. That's fair enough. I'm going to turn the music down a little bit more on the basis that I think it's still kind of loud. At least in my ears. Alright. Oh wait, I already have a tab open. Here we go. So can I make this a little bigger so it's easier to see on screen? It should be like good, right? Oh, we can go dark mode so it doesn't have to be an eyesore. Oh, awesome. Okay. We're chill. Everything looks fine. Alright. So I don't know anything about the story. I don't know anything about Viva Pinata, so, you know, if you're in the same boat as me, we're about to learn together, I suppose. Chapter 1, A Coconut Bash. A young girl hummed with the watering can in hand. She was tending to a bed of buttercups. Hello there, she said, glancing down at the wild pret's tail. She sat in her lap, licking her hand. Is that a Viva Pinata thing, or am I just dumb and I've just never heard this word before? I could just be dumb and I've never heard the word before. It's always possible. That is indeed a Viva Pinata thing. Okay. Well, animals in this have a very weird name, so basically Pokemon. Okay. Haha. I guess you think I'm a bunny comb. 16-year-old gardener giggled and pulled out a handful of treats, setting them onto the ground beside her and watched the pretzel as it happily ate. Come to think of it, I haven't gotten the second pretzel yet. She thought and stood up, walking to her garden storage unit. I should have at least one Tartridge Sweet Life Sweet. Bro, I can't read. Tartridge Life Sweet left in here? Rummaging through the seemingly endless amassment. Hang on a sec. This is something I do know. It is a word. It is a word, I've just never seen it before. Okay. I've never seen it often. Alright. We're both sorry and not sorry for this. Rummaging through the seemingly endless amassment of seed bags, fruit, produce, and fertilizer, she finally managed to grab hold of her Life Sweet bag and hauled it out of the storage unit. Wait, you keep food and fertilizer next to each other? Bro. That's not... Do you want to do that? I'm not a farmer, but like something tells me that's not a great idea. She pulled out a Life Sweet and fed it to the wild pinata. Big bags. I mean, stuff can fall out of bags. What if your fertilizer falls out and gets on your fruit, and then you just got a whole bunch of like poo-poo fruit now? That's a problem. It's bad memes. Don't ask me about pinata logic. All right, fine. Young gardener watched the pinata confetti changed from monochrome to vibrant orange as yellow as she ran her fingers through it. Hey, Lalia. Her head quickly whipped around to see a young man around the age of 17 leaning against one of her apple trees. Alex? Lalia then ran to the mainlander and flew into his arms. Okay, so it's a... Oh, wait, no. It is an island. We got that in the description. Okay, that's fine. I vaguely remember reading stuff that I just read a minute ago. I miss you so much. Whoa there, you nearly knocked me over, mate. Oh, he's British. So I maybe put like a comma here. Alex smiled, hugging Lalia. Oh no, Lila. That's not... Okay, I transposed the I and the L there. For the one line, he's British. Oh shit, that sounds like Aho sometimes. Oh, I didn't put, hang on. There's something I forgot to put. I forgot to turn this on. There we go. Squeeze down a bit. Actually, you know what? We're not going to make it squeeze down a bit. It should be okay. Where are we? Okay. Sorry, wait a minute. You were here 2 weeks ago. Lila said, with a puzzled expression. She knew that Alex only came once a month, so why was he visiting again in February? Well, we forgot it was going to be Valentine's Day in the next 2 weeks, so I thought I would spend it here. The young gardener blushed. Not only with embarrassment, but also with love. If he meant what she thought. Oh, okay, that's just weird spacing. Alright, that's a line break, that's not... Like, that's a paragraph line break, that's not like a word wrap line break. Okay, that confused me. I was like, why is this sentence ending with a comma? If he meant what she thought, then this was going to be the best day of her life. Her name is pronounced Layla. Oh, okay. Alright. Gonna be honest with you, okay? I think one of the few times I've ever seen the name Layla is in context with, like, Eric Clapton. Like, that's, like, spelled with a Y. Instead of an I. But alright. The others, you don't mind if I put... Uh-oh. I mean, I'm gonna try, but... Alright, so it is supposed to be pronounced Layla. Fine. Oh, I completely forgot, she laughed, nervously rubbing the nape of her neck. So in the time being, you want to stay in my place? Not like it's any different from the last visits. Layla fiddled with her chestnut brown hair, twirling around one finger like a nervous schoolgirl asking her crush out for the first time. Sure, the mainlander smiled, nudging Layla with his shoulder. Hey, I heard that there's an ice cream stand in front of the Oasis coffee shop. Okay, she nodded and began walking. You're gonna love the road ahead. There's some strange snow and sand combination. It feels great when you walk on it, and it makes a really nice crunching sound. But strangely, it isn't cold, and the snow never seems to melt, Layla said with a skip in her step. Look over there, there's a flock of Juicy Goose? Is that another Viva Pinata meme? I'm just gonna assume it is. I can't highlight the copy and paste easily. Young Gardener pointed to a pond filled with purple birds with white stripes. They're fighting over a newt gat. Two of them spent a good 15 minutes before they arrived at the ice cream stand. Layla asked to pay. She said that was it. She said that it was the best she could do, and she had come all the way. Since he had come all the way from Russia to spend Valentine's Day with her. Alex ordered ice creams for both. They sat down on a bench in front of the water. All animal names are weird. I'm beginning to notice. Wow, this ice cream is delicious, Layla said through a mouthful of ice cream. Alex was too focused on eating that he didn't hear anything she said. What'd you say again? The Russian said, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. Never mind. You want to play in the water? She said, tossed a handful at Alex. Bro, I can't read. Oh, that's the end. Oh, it's on. Alex then pushed the gardener into the water and splashing her. Layla got up and made a huge wave of water come down onto him. The two of them laughed as they sent and received numerous splashes of water on each other, soon growing tired. Good game, but okay. Good game, but Layla, please warn me before chucking me in. He then leaned against one of the palm trees, panting from exhaustion. Alex? Layla said, staring at the tree he was leaning against. What is it lit? And suddenly, a rush of pain flew through his body, vision growing increasingly hazy as the ground seemed to be coming towards him. After that, everything went dark. Okay. Alright. So we got our memes. We got our protagonist. We got who seems to be her boyfriend. And now he's been poisoned by a pinata tree. Okay. I'm following kinda so far. Alright. He's also half British, half Russian. They are not intention memes? Oh, is that a Viva Pinata meme? I think if it becomes super confusing, maybe. But so far, what I'm picking up is like something happened with something happened while they were like messing around in the in the water. Be right back. Okay. See you when you get back. I'm gonna keep reading. Okay. Chapter 2, new encounter. Alex opened his eyes, only to see darkness once again. Hello, is anyone there? Alex shouted, fear lingering in his voice. He looked down at his hands, but they were perfectly visible. He then looked down at where it... Why am I getting a phone call during a stream? Also, why is this not on my little makeshift, like, cushion that doesn't, like, transfer fucking noise to the desk? There we go. Okay. Fixed. Alright, he looked down at his hands, but they were perfectly visible. He then looked down at where his legs were supposed to be, but to his shock, he could only see a mist. What on earth? What an earth? Wait, where's my map? There it is. What an earth? He said, staring down to see he was floating, and almost out of nowhere, a tiny blue star floated around aimlessly. Alex, who was trembling with fear, still trying to look brave, stood still, puffing up his chest. It slowly floated towards him as he reached out to it. And as soon as he touched it, it grew larger and larger, with a circle with runes glowing from beneath. The light then engulfing him shortly after. Alex was then in darkness. He couldn't feel anything. He couldn't see anything. He shouted again, but no sound came out. It was deafeningly silent. It was almost as if his senses had stopped completely. Was he dead? Hey, are you okay? A voice echoed through the darkness. Alex's eyes darted around in fear, but unable to see. Who's there? His heart was pounding, and yet he couldn't feel it. It wasn't cold, but it wasn't warm either. He closed his eyes and felt a sense of warmth against his skin. He heard the feminine voice again. Please wake up. Alex had managed to open his eyes, expecting to see the darkness again. When he opened his eyes, his vision was blurry, but he could make out a figure. It was a woman? Didn't look anything like Layla. As his vision became clearer, he could see more details. She had short, dark brown hair that hung down to her shoulders, her freckles scattered shot around her sea green eyes and on her sandy brown skin. The woman had a white skirt that was only partially visible, as it was covered with a goldenish yellow poncho that with desaturated sea green cut-off shorts. Her mask was blue as well, as she wore a Volturo hat upon her head. Layla and Alex aren't together, more of a crush dynamic, but both are too nervous to confess. Okay, so we have our protagonist and her boyfriend. Because I know memes. Don't worry, I'm down with the memes. You know, I know all the popular senpai notice me memes. It's fine. It's cool. Oh yeah, oh. It's this. Oh, I can't. There we go. The little poster. The cover. I don't know what fanfic.net calls this picture. The little fanfic book cover. Where were we? Okay. Ow, my head. Alex groaned in pain as he held the back of his head, gritting his teeth. Here, let me help, the woman said and lent out a hand, and he smacked it away. Who are you and why are you trying to help me? The Russian said in a confused, angry tone. Why am I getting phone calls? The Russian said in a confused, angry tone. It was at this moment he noticed his surroundings and a bead of sweat rolled down his brow. And where on earth? Where on earth am I? Where on earth, indeed? I meant to say where on Earth, but you know, it's just a little, just a little, you know. Cover took you 3 weeks. Oh man. Well, I mean, when we're talking about color, color, okay. Color makes things a bit more difficult. That's it. That's it. Maybe it's just me personally, because I'm not, like, I don't usually do color. I usually do, like, line art. So I can, like, show a picture I did recently. I could show an image of a drawing I drew. Oh no. Oh wait, I'm not running OBS in administrator mode anymore. I could just drag and drop now. Because I have a better computer. Bro. Good memes, hang on. Okay, so I drew this pretty recently, like in the last like few days. And like the drawing itself is like fine, but here's the thing. If I decided to make it in color, oh sorry, Trails in the Sky, spoilers by the way, in case you're ever interested in playing Trails in the Sky. But if I made this in color, oh, and then of course it shows up in the Estelle face meme because I put it there. If I made this in color, it probably would have taken like a day, maybe hours, like hours longer. Because like, I could do line art fine. It's just when I introduce color, I don't really work with color much. It's like a weakness of mine. It's something I should practice more so I can get like better at it. We've already seen what some of my stuff looks like when it's in color, because I got my co-streamers for Post Fantasy right over here. And those are the more decent examples of me doing color. It's not that's not like typical because I don't practice enough with color. But color makes things tougher, makes things take longer. And the problem with color is it's not enough to just think of it as like, oh, this is this color. The problem with color is you have to think about not just the color, but also about the shading and the lighting, because color is light. So it's not enough to just think about what color something is, but you have to think about what it's going to look like besides that because of how it's lit. So it comes down to not just what color it is, but also like the color value, the direction of the light, depending on how deep you want to go, like ambient light. There's a lot to keep in mind. And as you get better at it and as you practice more, like, you know, it doesn't feel like you have to keep it in mind as much. It's kind of like me with like line art. I don't feel like I have to like keep things like anatomy and whatever in mind as much, because like I'm just pretty used to drawing like human characters at this point, where it's like I can tell if it looks kind of weird and I'm gonna have to change it or redraw something, usually like right away. But anyway, coming back from that tangent, where were we? Okay, where on Earth am I? Where an Earth indeed. My name is May? May? I'm a magic user. You are in my house. Alex stared at the... He walked up and down stairs at her. Use this, it will stop the pain. I then pulled out a small purple glowing vial. And how do I know this won't kill me? He said, a hint of annoyance in his voice and my side. Look, I saw you lying on the floor unconscious under a coconut tree. No one was there, the sun was going down, and I think you wouldn't want to be eaten by a sour pinata or taken by a ruffian, do you? I think you want to put would you there instead of do you, because we're changing verb tense. Alex tisk-tisked and nodded, and then he downed the glowing liquid in the vial. The taste was god-awful. Tastes like rotten garlic dipped in sour candy, and he scrunched up his face as he swallowed the thick concoction. And he gagged, but to his surprise, the pain had vanished completely. Get away from him! Another voice yelled furiously, startling Alex and Mai. Alex, are you okay? The voice turned out to be Layla. I just see the eye, and it makes me want to go like, Lila, because like, I'm a fucking weeb. She ran towards him and hugged him. She looked distressed, and he looked into her eyes, which were glistening with tears of worry. Don't worry, Layla, I'm okay, he exclaimed with a smile. Layla hugged him even tighter than before, and she stuffed her face into his shoulder. I don't want to lose you, she said, her voice muffled. Sorry if it sounds weird or anything. You're a British writer. The first couple chapters will sound weird since they are older. I mean, okay. So, alright. Like, I'm American, so I don't know all the Britishisms. Right? I mean, well, our time zones are different, and we both speak English, so, like, obviously, like, I'm an American, right? So I don't know all the Britishisms. There's some that I do know, most that I don't. Like, I obviously am not going to know, like, all the different colloquialisms, because I know that, like, it's... Britain is a weird way to put it. Like the UK and the surrounding countries, I'm aware that, like, it's very interesting in the sense that, like, y'all got more accents and dialects packed into that small amount of space than we do in, like, our whole country. Not counting, like, foreign accents, like, not counting, like, somebody who speaks English as a second language. Although I guess, like, I don't know, do people who would speak Welsh and, like, speak English differently in the UK, like, does that count as English as a second language? I don't know. Your own story is making you feel sympathy? How the hell did you come to this point when you don't know what happens in the story? I mean, I've recently, like, generally, I don't really feel much for, like, stuff that I write, stuff that I draw. But recently, and by recently I mean, like, the last couple of years or so, sometimes, like, I can look at a drawing and, like, oh, hey! Whereas, like, before I'd be like, okay, yeah, alright. And I would just analyze it more so than, like, just be like, oh, hey, this is the drawing of that character. Like, it's weird. It's I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting older, or maybe it's like I don't maybe some weird brain chemistry thing is happening in my brain. I don't know. Anyway, I've gone off on another tangent. Okay. I don't want to lose you, she said, her voice muffled. And who are you? Layla then turned around and stared the witch dead in the eyes. My name is May. I'm the one who helped your boyfriend, she said with a chuckle. He's not my boyfriend! Layla blushed angrily, crossing her arms. But thank you. Young Gardner muttered and held out a hand, and Mai shook it. I would put these two in the same paragraph because it's the same person speaking. That's what I would do, but you don't feel much making your writing or reading it to others? But when I read it, you feel some emotion for your own creations. It's weird. It's May? Okay. Again, I wouldn't know which one to go with first, because, like, I think, okay, May makes sense, like, in English, but, like, my weeb brain is telling me, like, no, my, like, it's... My name is Layla, and the one you helped is Alex. I have one question, Layla. How'd you find me? The Mainlander said, confusion lingering in his voice. Layla then pulled her alert system, pointed to the silvery antenna on top of it. Alert systems have a tracking device built in. It can be accessed only by people who you let track you. She smiled, putting the device into her pocket, and she smiled. Twice. So she has him chipped. You celebrated when I said it right? I guess we should get going now, the dark-haired Russian said, still sweating from the heat. I forgot to say, we're in the desert. Dessert desert. May nervously exclaimed and rubbed the back of her head. And my village is surrounded by dunes. So, how can we get back? Layla said, raising a brow and adjusted her bunny comb mask. Wait, she's wearing a mask? I have a camello outside my house. You can use them. Wait. A camello, them. The explaining alert systems are this world's versions of phones. Just really weird. They make no sense to you either. Okay. The witch smiled and put her hands together. Layla nodded and walked to the exit. Alex not too far behind her. Oh wait, there's no... Did I do this wrong? Oh, the chapter... Okay, we don't get a chapter title here. But we are on chapter 3. Okay, Veil of Tears. Banging your head into the table over the... No, you're doing a bob. He does the same shit when I read Post Fantasy on stream. Oh no. Okay. You're gonna warn me? Oh, does it get really edgy soon? So I might be down for that. Although I don't know Viva Pinata, so like it might not do much for me. I have a soft spot for like dumb, edgy shit. Like I was an edgy teen, so like I have kind of like a soft spot for like stupid stuff that like thinks it's hardcore, but it's really not. It's just kind of like dumb and edgy. This chapter is like a sip of pure angst and cringe. It makes zero... Yo! Okay, I'm down. I'm down. I just told you I like edgy shit. I used to be like an edgy teen, so it's like it's great. Like I used to... Okay, I'm like power leveling hardcore here. Before he started doing a bunch of weird porn and shit, I kind of used to like Shad Base's art. Because he had his old art style was like kind of aesthetic, but also he did like edgy shit and like gory shit. So like that was the stuff that I found him, like that's stuff that I found when I first like discovered him. And then he started doing like a whole bunch of weird porn shit and I stopped caring. And that was like many years ago that I like just stopped caring. I kind of liked the edgy stuff. I didn't really give a shit about like the 18+ stuff. You also make gore stuff. How ironic. I mean... Okay. It's been 5 days after Layla and Alex's first encounter with May. Got to know each other more and our friends. However, things in the village are heating up. Okay, so we got like a little bit of a time skip going on here. Okay. Everything's in the village are heating up. Oh, I see, because it's a desert. I see what you did there. Everyone's getting ready for the Valentine's Day ball next week. And Arthur's explaining to some what the Valentine's Day ball is. This thing on, the innkeeper said as he adjusted the large barrel mask. He tapped the microphone once more and repeated himself. Finally, his deep voice echoing through it. Arthur cleared his throat and said, as you all know, the Valentine's Day ball is just around the corner. But some of you may not even be aware of what that is. I misread that, but I think the sentiment is similar. I hope. Every year our island holds the annual ball called the Valentine's Day Ball. Since most of the people in the village are unmarried or single, this gives them a chance to find the one. Okay, so I think when you do... Alright. Let me see if I'm remembering this right. So I think when you do block quotations like this, you want to have like a quotation mark at the beginning of every paragraph, and then at the end of the last paragraph, you have a closing You have a closing quotation mark. If I'm remembering how you do that right. The rules of this event are that, if possible, wear a mask and a formal outfit. During the event, however, there's a competition for anyone ages 17 or over, which is a dancing competition, and only one couple can win. As he continued, the crowd continued to form around the platform where he was standing, and continued for a solid 15 minutes till the crowd finally began to clear. It fixes later too. Okay. I'll get the door, Layla shouted as she ran. When she got there was a package which read, for Lavenfire? Am I pronouncing that one right? Uh-oh. Oh no. For LL. LL Cool J. Sorry. For Layla Lavenfire. The young gardener sat down on one of the beanbags, grinning ear to ear, and tore open the package savagely from excitement. She thought it was everything inside. Bro, why can't I read? She thought it was everything that was inside until she opened the card. Wait. Young gardener sat down on one of the beanbags, grinning ear to ear, and tore open the package savagely from excitement. She thought it was everything that was inside until she opened the card, and when she found okay, it's just kind of like confusing wording. And what she found shattered her heart. Inside were 2 white roses and a small wooden box. Layla couldn't speak. It's weird anyway with paragraphs, since you write it in Word, and then you need to convert it to Notepad, and then into Fanfic, because it's directly from Word. Okay. So the thing about that, do you copy and paste directly, or do you like save as? Because you might be better off copying and pasting directly. Because the thing with Word files is that, like, the thing with Microsoft Word is Word documents aren't actually like text files. They're actually binary files. And on top of that, when you do things like quotations, or there's certain typographical things that happen in Word without you even realizing, because it's all automatic. And if you dig through Microsoft Word settings, you can find that stuff. But there are things, there's like crazy like Unicode and typographical things happening while you're typing stuff out in Word. Might make it incompatible with certain file formats when you try and like save it or copy paste it to like just a regular plain text format. A rich text format might treat you a little better, so like WordPad instead of Notepad. But I don't know. I don't know for sure if the results you'll get are going to be better necessarily. Copy paste it into it and it bugs. Yeah, it could be that. It could be that depending on what like Unicode setting you have on like your plain text editor, it could mess up whatever like typographical things that Word does. So like, for example, like instead of getting like regular quotation marks, like instead of getting like your regular double quotes, you might end up with like some weird like ampersand and like a string of like numbers or something. Like that's one thing I've noticed that kind of happens sometimes when you do that. Or when I've done that in the past. And there's ways you could like save it and whatever to try and like kind of mitigate that, but it's like it's weird. It's kind of like a headache. I wonder if you would have the same issue if you copy and pasted it directly from Word onto fanfic.net. Sorry about this chapter, just gonna chloroform yourself until oh no. Inside were 2 white roses and a small wooden box. Layla couldn't speak. No, she weakly said, swallowing up the lump in her throat as tears ran down her cheeks. What was it? Layla, are you okay? Alex walked over and noticed the sadness from Layla. There's like an aura surround, or there's like an aura around her. What's that? The Russian asked. His brows knit together as he looked at the package she held. They are dead. She closed her eyes. One single glistening tear ran down and fell from the petal. Fell onto the petal of one of the white roses. Who? My parents, Layla said, choking back a sob. Okay. Come here, Layla. The dark-haired mainlander then opened his arms and hugged her. Choking her hair, she sobbed into his shoulder. Okay, you still have me. Alex looked over and looked into her eyes. What did the card say anyways? Oh, what did the card say anyways? The young gardener shook her head. Okay, I can't tell who's speaking here. Okay, so I don't know if this is like a British thing or a young writer thing. But I can't quite tell who's speaking. It's usually what I would do. If it's the same speaker, I keep all the quotations in the same paragraph. And then, like, only break when there's a different speaker. Or, like, where it might make sense to break to insert, like, narration or something. So I don't know if this is, like, a British thing or, like, a young writer thing. Okay, so I should say one Britishism that I'm aware of, and it's one that I actually kind of do sometimes, is like punctuation marks outside of quotation marks. I'll do that in certain cases. Usually not like with dialogue, but in certain cases I'll do that. And it's actually like really bad because it looks inconsistent, but I promise you it's not. I do it very consistent. I have a very consistent way of doing that. White roses signify dead, red roses signify still alive. Not a meme in the game, but okay. Paragraphs just automatically separate for some reason. The thing is weird. Okay, that's weird. Alright, so then you're saying like that wasn't a separate paragraph when you originally wrote it. Alright, that's strange then. What did the card say anyways? The young gardener shook her head and stared at the note on the table. I hadn't read it yet. She sniffed as the mainlander dried her tears with his hands. There was a soft and warm... She blushed a bit, still looking into his eyes. May I read it? Layla nodded and he picked it up. Dear Layla, we're terribly sorry we couldn't visit this year. Your father and I are very ill. This may be the last you hear from us. I was looking through the attic and found a small music box from when you were little in one of the plastic containers. Yours sincerely, Mom and Dad. Layla picked up the small wooden box. She examined it with great care. The young gardener ran her fingers along grooves of the box. It had an engraving of a hummingbird on the top, with bluebell engravings in the front and around the fool's gold lock and hinge. The wood was of the purple heart tree, which was varnished... The wood was of the purple heart tree, which was varnished, which made it shimmer in the light. The double which threw me off there. The wood was of the purple heart tree that was varnished, comma, which made it shimmer. I'm trying. That threw me off a little bit. I'm trying to think of like how I would make it like. I'm memeing. Sorry. Perfect thing to say to your 16-year-old kid. Like, yeah, we're kind of sick. We're gonna die soon, but like, here's this music box. The sides were decorated with heart-shaped. The sides were decorated with heart-shaped red diamond gemstones. The box is so pretty. Layla's eyes sparkled as she looked at the box. The smile once again returned to her face. See, possessive, you're happy already. Alex laughed. What about her happy? Look, the flowers are blooming, he said as he looked out the window. Purple Heartwood is an actual tree, apparently. You were surfing the internet for stuff to make it look really expensive. Okay. It's a real meme? Oh, shit. I didn't mean for it to search in this window, but okay, alright. Evidently. That's a thing. It's a type of hardwood. Okay. Alright. Okay. Look, the flowers are blooming. Speaking of which, want to help with the gardening? I'm working on a pond. It'd be a huge help if someone kept the pinatas busy. The young gardeners then helped Alex up. She put her hair into a ponytail to keep it out of her face. Sure. The two of them then walked over to a glass door. Ella grabbed the handle and turned it, making squeaking noise, and the door opened. It was breathtaking. Alex had never truly seen her garden before. Were the oak trees surrounded by daisies and buttercups, flower beds filled with orchids and roses? Oh, there were oak trees. Okay. But the most beautiful of all was a large Swanana? That's gotta be another Viva Pinata thing. But the most beautiful of all was a large Swanana fountain with a ring of birds of paradise surrounding it. Wow, Alex said, not realizing it, and Layla smiled. Well, let's get to work. She got over that pretty quick. I mean, fair enough. You still have to, like, work, like, still. Meanwhile, May lazily slumped on her oak bed, staring at the ceiling. And what to do today, she thought to herself. I'll go to Arthur's Inn. Chin shot up like a bullet and draped her yellow silk poncho over her shoulders and headed out the door, feeding her pinatas and watering plants along the way. Just say how it sounds. 9 times out of 10, it's just how it's pronounced. It just still catches me off guard. That's it. I'm sounding it out. I'm trying. It's a swan banana. I gotcha. Good. It's just now I'm picturing a swan banana. That's the problem. Hey, Petula? She waved to a young woman in a kitty floss mask. She's the owner of the shop Paper Pets. She was opening the store. She stared for a moment, smiled, and waved back. Hello, May, a gruff voice said. Hi, Arthur, how's work been? May asked as she sat down onto one of the stools of the bar. It's been fine. Not many customers in, though. He laughed, knocking on his barrel mask. Anyways, what can I get you? The innkeeper leant against the bar. Leant against the bar? Okay. Is that a Britishism then? Because I would go leaned, but I know that sometimes like instead of like ed for past tense, you can go with like a t in British English, right? Like I know spelled, like I know like learned and spelled can be like written instead as like learnt and spelt, and like in the UK that's like totally correct. It is okay. The innkeeper leant against the bar, still smiling. What's today's special? May cocked her head to the side. Today's special is the lavish sunset drink. How much? May then rummaged through his bag to get the coin purse. Coin purse? Coin purse! 250 cc's. She nodded and pulled out her money and counted. Thank you. Arthur then took the required money and put it into the jar at the back. It was next to a large drinks machine. He pressed one of the buttons on it, and the drink was made in an instant. Here you go, enjoy. He smiled once again, and placed in one of the counter. Arthur was one of the most cheerful in the whole village. Always has a smile on his face, and he never fails to brighten someone's day. Thank you, Arthur. May took a sip at the drink. It was the most delicious. It was the most delicious things she'd ever tasted. The mango mixed with the dragon fruit made a bang of flavor. That actually sounds like pretty. That sounds pretty sick. I kind of want one now. It was so sweet and smooth. Hello, Arthur. I for Bargan bargain? Bargain? Ivor Bargain said, nearly kicking down the door. His voice was like thunder, startling the two of them. Sonia's serenade, you scared the life out of me, Ivor. Arthur yelped, as his head darted to look at the purple-haired man. Oh, it's anime. Oh, we're at the end. Can you please stop doing that? At this rate, you're gonna At this rate, you're going to one of my customers a heart attack. The innkeeper then masked. Then mask palmed. Okay, I gotcha. Alright. I took a deep breath, trying to calm down. Sorry, mate. Ivor gave a small chuckle, rubbing the back of his neck. The second May saw him, she froze, her cheeks becoming a deep scarlet under her mask. Even though he was her boyfriend, she would still turn shy when he was with her. Hello, Mai. Ivor smiled brightly. He only just noticed that she was there and ran over, giving her a big hug. What's the matter? You're not always like this. Oh, it's nothing. Ivor waved off as he let the witch go. Something is off, May thought, and she raised a brow. May, you want to meet me in the lake in an hour? May nodded in agreement, still blushing. Ivor skipped out of the inn and strolled off. At this rate, you're gonna get... I know what he meant, but I just read what he said. Okay, so, alright. So, it might be Viva Pinata memes, but so far we don't know how Alex got knocked out. And this is definitely Viva Pinata memes, but I don't know what all the mention of masks is. I don't know what that's all about. Oh. Okay, for the proposal. Arthur's note. This was part of chapter 3, but it was too long. So I had to split it into 2 chapters. Enjoy. Alright. Ivor strolled down the road. There's so many thoughts in his head. Too many thoughts in his head. He sat down on an iron bench in front of the lake and put his face in his hands. But now he's got his face in his hands. Alex was knocked out with a coconut. It's applied to these... Okay. Alright, that wasn't... Okay, maybe I'll need to read it again. Maybe if I read it again, I would be able to tell, like, it makes sense. But, like, just kind of reading it first go through, it wasn't immediately clear. Okay, I got you now. Alright, fine, fair enough. I don't know where they were relative to where May is. And weren't Alex and Layla, like, together, like, nearby each other at that time? All the characters wear masks? Either half-covering masks or masks that cover the whole face. None will have fully uncovered faces. Is that like some, like, is that like a Viva Pinata thing? Like masquerade memes or something? He sat down on an iron bench in front of the lake, put his face in his hands. She's gonna say no, he groaned as he pushed a small black velvet box further into the pocket of his jacket. He stared out at the glistening blue expanse of water as the sun set. The sky was a Pantone orange. Yo, the sky shelled out for those Pantones? Damn. The sky was a Pantone orange that faded. Those books are expensive, man. The sky was a Pantone orange that faded into a rose red. Look, the sky really needs to make sure that everybody sees the right shade of orange. I'm sorry, I'm memeing. The little area the water fight went down in, the coconut tree was very nearby, Alex tries to catch his breath while standing underneath it, not realizing it's a coconut tree. Okay. But, the implication from the spoken dialogue implied that, that he and Layla had been separated. Enough that, like, she couldn't find him right away and resorted to, like, GPS tracking him. Like, that's what I was getting at. Because May had this, because, like, if I'm understanding correctly, like, May stumbled across him and, like, brought him to her house. However far away that is, or brought him somewhere, however far away that is from where she originally found him. But I don't know what the setting looks like, so I don't know, like, the distances traveled here either. It's possible that she's not actually that far from where they were. After Alex is knocked out, Layla goes to get help, takes too long, and maybe... Okay. Alright. You can't pick up Alex, but... Okay. I'm trying to think back to Chapter 2, and I think it's possible that, like, that might have been mentioned, and, like, I'm just forgetting that it was mentioned. But it's also possible that it wasn't, because I don't remember it being mentioned, right? Like, alright, let's move on. I'm gonna stop memeing about Pantone. There's no way she would say yes to someone like me. Ivor rubbed his eyes inside, leaning back against the iron bench. Hey, Ivor. He looked up to see May walking to him. You asked me to meet you here. She sat down on the bench next to him. He's not sure what to say. So, want to walk around a bit with me? Ivor said as he stood up. They walked around for a while until it got dark. Two of them stopped underneath a gem tree, and Ivor turned to May. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. May, you mean everything to me. I've seen every reason... Wait, I have seen every reason to make me fall in love with you. You've been a wonderful woman to me ever since the time that I have known you. You mean the world to me? The world feels so small without you in it. I spend all my time thinking about you, my love. And he started to blush even more. I promise to share my life with you. I'll never regret any of the moments you'll spend with me. And now's the time I want to ask you. Everything got down on one knee, took out the black box. Will you marry me? May's eyes started to well up with tears. Yes, the young witch said. Tears of happiness running down her cheeks, and she ran to Ivor and hugged him tightly. How do you do this every day? Alex puffed. He was exhausted from the work, which is... Okay. Is there a way you can do... So, like, what I might do... What I might have done... And you could do this in Word easily, right? Where you can, like, have, like, a line break. And then do something like, I don't know, like this. Or, like, dots or something. Center it, like... Center a line and then do another line break, because that's like a scene transition, right? Like, this isn't taking place in like the same place. Like, these are two different locations. The line breaks I'm talking about are in the Word thing. Okay. Yeah, like some kind of like, maybe fanfic.net just doesn't let you do that, but like some kind of indicator that we're like obviously switching perspective. That's something Bob will do in post fantasy. I'm not gonna look for an example now because it would take a while, but he'll do like these weird little like dash and underscore or like slash. Like he'll use like special character. He'll use special characters in like a pattern to kind of like indicate, okay, we're changing perspective from like one character to another here. Because something like that will make it like obvious to the reader that like that's what's happening. Because Because when you go from this proposal straight to how do you do this every day, it almost makes it seem like Alex is like watching it happen and like responding to it, like he's reacting to it, just a little bit. Alex puffed. He was exhausted from all the work, which is surprisingly tiring. You're tired already? Layla said in a surprised tone as she brushed the sweat off herself and grabbed a Syrupent patterned bottle and took a sip. Don't worry, there's one for you too. And she pointed to a Squazzle pattern bottle beside it, and he picked it up. Wow, this is energizing, Alex said once he drank some. Yeah, once felt better than before, and his eyes widened. Hey, Layla. Zoom turned around to see May. She was running towards them. It looked like she was crying. May, what's wrong? The young gardener got up and then ran over to her. Are you okay? Layla noticed she was smiling. I have the best news, she said with excitement. What is it? Alex asked as he got up. Ivor proposed. May squealed, opening her arms. Oh my god, May, congratulations! The young gardener clapped her hands and hugged the witch. Best of all, the wedding... Damn. That was... He was ready with the swiftness. What if she said no? I mean, we saw this from her perspective, right? So we know she wasn't going to say no, but what if she said no? And he had the wedding and everything already planned. Explanation for the drink, she laced it with drugs. This is a joke. Okay. What if she said no, though? What do you just paid for? Oh, fuck's sake. Man, I haven't had the phone ring during stream like that in like a while. This is what happens when you do this earlier in the day. The story initially intended to be printed out in Word and read, so organization within online websites gets a little trippy. Oh, like the formatting and stuff? Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I think every fanfic.net story I've ever seen is like formatted like this. Where it's like super, super basic. Another thing, I presume, is that probably most people writing on fanfic.net are probably using whatever like front end and back end fanfic.net uses. So they're actually typing directly onto the website. They're probably not like typing it into like a text file beforehand. Maybe a lot of people do that. I don't know. But this is what I assume. That's how I assume fanfic.net works. I've never used it myself. I've never really wrote fanfiction. I generally just kind of only write like OC fiction. And it's like, that's not my way of saying like, oh, I'm above writing fanfic. No, it's just, I genuinely find fanfiction harder to write than original content. Like really. Especially if it's like a fanfiction of a work that's not like complete yet. Because when you're writing your own OC, you know every piece of the puzzle and how it has to fit. When you're writing fanfiction, you don't really have a complete picture of everything. Might have ideas for your OC characters, might have an idea for your plot, but then you have the issue, excuse me, of making sure like everything fits in the setting, everything fits within the rule set of the setting, making sure that you're not mischaracterizing the characters that belong to the setting. There's a lot more careful thought required when it comes to writing a fanfic well. So, in that regard, to me, it's like much more difficult. Or more difficult to the degree that it's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. It's kind of a lot of effort. It's kind of a lot of trouble when I could just like write my own thing and like be fine. It's just there's one fanfic, there's one Toho fanfic I had an idea for, but like that only works because like it only involves one character, doesn't involve a setting at all. And I like the character a lot, and I know the character decently well enough that I think like I can like kind of like do this kind of story with that character. And the interesting thing about that is that it's like a very different take on that character. It's not meant to be, it's not meant to align with what that character is in real Toho. It's sort of meant to be like a different take on her. That's one idea I had in the past, like I never kind of got around to writing, but like and honestly, you can agree with me on that. The majority of the main focus characters in this are your own creation, apart from the antagonist, and the side characters, such as Ivor, are for Petula and Pester. Okay. Yeah, or in the case of Bob's fanfic, that's actually a Toho fanfic. You can't tell because the setting he chose is like very far removed from like Toho's original setting. He set it in like the far future. In some weird future world version of Gensokyo. Most of the characters that would be around in Toho, they're not around because like it's a far future where the world is very different. You have the main character who's a descendant of like one of the protagonists of the games, but that's like your strongest connection to the original work, and it's still derivative of Toho. And all that language and those memes are still there, but it's so far separated that it almost sort of is like its own setting, even though it's really, really not, because it's strongly tied to like the game's lore. But yeah, I don't write fanfic, and this is part of the reason why, because I find it to be way more difficult than just writing OC. No, so yeah, so what if she said no? He'd be footing the bill for like this wedding. Here's the venue, address, and time. You should also get an outfit for then. Oh, you should also get an outfit for then. Okay, alright, I just read that line wrong. The young witch said. Oh no, no punctuation here. Chan skipped off, waving goodbye in the process. Layla put her hands on her hips and looked at Alex. Wanna go clothes shopping? Layla was happy. Finally, she had an excuse to wear a dress without feeling awkward about it. Fine. As long as I can pick out a tuxedo. Alex groaned and rolled his eyes. They finally arrived at a small shop. It had a flashy sign that read, Tarantula? Layla knew that this was a store that the parents of the Flutterscotch fanatic Baba Chica ran. This the place? Alex asked sarcastically. Let's go in, Layla said, smiling enthusiastically, and skipped aside. Alex huffed and went after her. Oh, so pretty, the young gardener said, her eyes sparkling as she held up a blackish sign in a short dress. It had Swinana confetti pieces along the trim of the dress. I'll try it on. Layla then ran into the changing rooms. Rushed and sat down near the catwalk inside. Ready, Layla said. And Alex sat up to see. As she walked down the catwalk, he was surprised to see that it really fit her. And he blushed a bit. So what do you think, she asked. You're beautiful. I mean, you look great. Alex blurted out, making the young gardener blush. I think we're all set. Layla clapped her hands and went back to the changing rooms to change back to her normal clothes. Then they headed home. That was it. What about him? I thought he was going to get a tux. Baba Chica is also not yours. Okay. So we got 11 chapters. We're 5 chapters in, so we're almost halfway through. 11's an odd number, and we're never going to be like perfectly halfway through, but we're almost halfway through. Okay, we've got chapter 5, preparations before paradise. We don't talk about the tux. Okay. Not every day on Pinata Island is hot and humid. Every day was warm and dry. Flocks of paribos flew in the skies, and herds of musipans grazed happily in the fields. The villagers, too, were getting lively as clothing and mass stores, even food markets, were packed since Valentine's Day was in just a few days. I mean, I would hope it's not humid on a place called Pinata Island. And if everything is a pinata, again, I would hope it's not humid. Those things aren't made. Okay, I don't know enough about pinatas, but like, aren't they mostly like paper? Like mostly paper product? You wouldn't want those in a humid environment, right? They wouldn't last. Even the pinatas were lively. Today's the day, May said, practically flew out of bed, nearly face planting into the wall beside her. She then slipped her golden yellow poncho over her shoulders and went downstairs. They walked over to the little and purple blue birdhouse and sprinkled some seeds into the bowl in front of it, headed over to a glass door and slid it open. The young witch then put her hand into the pouch on her waist and grabbed some pinata feed, dropping it into a large trough. Okay, I don't know why that threw me off. That's spelled right. They're sentient and masochists. There are also pinatas who swim in the water, so okay. Well, I mean, hey, maybe those are made of waterproof paper. I don't know. Maybe they're all made of waterproof paper. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know the lore. They then pulled out her alert system and cycled through her contacts. She thought of offering Gretchen to go wedding dress shopping with, but she went with Petula instead. Wait, she's only shopping for a wedding dress now on the day of? Bruh. Hey May, it's like 6 in the morning, Petula groaned. Sorry, but since my wedding is only in a few hours, want to go dress shopping? Bruh. They could practically hear Petula's grin. Hell yes. Where are we heading? Ha ha ha. This plan is flawless, said a man in black and red patterned helmet-like mask. He sat down in his chair with an evil smirk on his face, his sharp teeth showing. Whatever you say, master. The Stardust huffed, rolling his one good glowing eye while he sat in the air with his arms and legs crossed. No need to flatter me, Pastor said, waving his hand. Go get the prisoner, he said, and waved his hand again. The Stardust huffed and phased through the wall behind him and floated down the stairs. Stupid pastor thinking you bossed me around like a slave, the ghost muttered under his breath. He came towards an old jail cell. Hey! Hey! The Stardust repeated, with frustration, and pounded his fist against the rusty bars of the cell. Yes? A stuttered voice said. He looked at the girl. She had ginger hair braided into a long plait. Her skin was pale with a black mark on her collarbone that went down and along her right arm, onto the back of her hand, ending with a diamond shape. I'm not going to meme. It was shown that she had attempted to hide it, as there was what looked like a dirty rag concealing it. She also had a purple mask, which had a feathery shape, where the ears would be making it look like a hootie fruity. Also having orange triangle accents around her eyes. They're masochists because in the game it makes a point that they enjoy going to parties. When on Pinata Island, and only on Pinata Island, they reassemble themselves. Okay. You've written Pester to be really messed up? He's portrayed as this goofy villain, but you made him worse and more of a madman. Okay. Alright. The boss wants you, he hissed. The ginger stood up shakily and walked to the bars of the cell. The Stardust grabbed her arm and phased her through the rusty bars with a tight grip on her wrist. I want you getting away like last time. Ah, Alyssa, I have a job for you. She nodded. I need you to crash a little party, more specifically, a wedding. Alyssa gulped. Tessa then proceeded to put what looked like a metal band around her neck, made it tight. What's this? She asked nervously, still trembling. It's a shock collar. If you try to take it off or get away, it'll hurt a lot. Bruh is basically Caesar's Legion. We put the slave collar on the neck. We put it tight enough so that every time they swallow, they're always reminded of their position. I'm paraphrasing, but that's actually a line in New Vegas. Yes, sir. Alyssa nodded. I'll go get my sour Limisaris? I see limo and it makes I say this part, it makes me think like it's supposed to be like limo, limousine, limosaurus. I can't wait. Okay. So fanfic.net messing with your formatting, it's like it's hard to tell where the scene is changing. I mean, I don't know the character well enough, so like as far as I know, that could be perfectly in character for him. I don't know. Limosaurus. The giant red evil rhino thing. Okay. I thought it was like a limo. Like a long car that like fancy rich people drive in or ride in. You don't drive a limo if you're rich. You ride in the limo if you're rich. Okay. I can't wait. Layla bounced with excitement. She was grinning so wildly that it scared Alex a little. They were walking down a dirt road. Here we are, Layla said with excitement. Alex looked at the note and reread it and looked back up at the venue. He looked at Layla. Her eyes practically had stars in them. She was that excited, and he understood why. Wow, this is gorgeous, Russian thought, as he stared at where the wedding was going to be held. I think we should wait. Alex was cut off by Layla. Alex was cut off as Layla grabbed his hand and ran, while a childlike grin could be seen on her face. Okay, this dress will look perfect on you. Okay, another scene transition. This dress will look perfect on you, Petula said with a grin. The two of them were looking at the most beautiful dress ever made. The dress was a large, puffy, white silk dress. It had a purple hue to it. It was layered and had a shiny silver trim to the top 4 layers. However, the layers below had a golden trim, and the rest above the trim was a velvet, which had a stronger purple hue. Okay, but is the dress gold and white, or is it blue and white? When it refers to sours, some pinatas have more of an evil counterpart as a result of sour sweets created by Pastor. This isn't spoilers for the story, but it's just game lore. Okay. Maybe put a finger to on her chin. Also, they have it in pale blue. Does that mean we're getting it? Lifos asked the witch and nodded in agreement. Wait, who's Lifos? Where did this person come from? I went to find one of the employees. Hi, we were wondering if the store has this dress in the pale blue. The employee nodded and proceeded to point to an aisle with the sign the red most expensive. Okay, thank you, May said. As two girls stared at the sign, praying the dress won't too expensive. Let's go. The two of them walked down the aisle looking at all the beautifully made dresses. Finally, they found the dress they were looking for. It's perfect, the witch said and jumped for joy. Lifos' jaw dropped as she looked at the price tag on the dress. Oh my god. They both stared at the tag in shock. 220,000 chocolate coins? May shouted in pure shock. How the hell do I pay that off? I'll pay, Lifa said. And May cocked a brow. I'm the daughter of the wealthiest man on the island, you know. Oh yeah, Giardinero, the young witch said. She'd forgotten that she was. Okay. All right. Be honest, that resolved itself pretty quick. Pinatas eat it, they turn sour, corrupted. Humans eat this. They also become soured, but has a more grim effect, turning them into a ghost-like being who isn't quite dead, but isn't quite alive either. Stardust is a good example of the effects of sour candy. Okay. Man, I guess just don't bring nerds to Pinata Island. Shit. Okay, is this... I've seen this a lot. Is this also a Britishism? Is this like a British... Is this like a UK English thing where you put like... Where thank you is like one word instead of two? Alright, we're chapter 6. We're there. Past the halfway point. Or we will be when we finish this chapter. These are all pretty short, comparatively speaking. Don't know if we'll finish today. I might actually stop here, and then we'll finish it another time. Because I was planning on going for like a couple hours, but I don't want to get to like... I don't want to get to like 5 o'clock and we have like 2 chapters left. So I think maybe better to like pick this up another time, like next week or something. That might be better. Because then it could be like more like 2 even halves, or like, you know, it won't be like, oh, we're just going to do like a stream for like 30 minutes while we finish the last couple chapters. Mainland sour candy has no effect. The sour candy you're referring to is artificially made. Okay. There's one more to go. Okay, so it's better to finish at chapter 7 than chapter 6? Okay, so we'll go on to chapter 7. Or we'll stop after chapter 7. Alright. Girl, you're gonna be the pearl of the isle, said one of the bridesmaids with a smile. May was sitting in a chair as her hair was being done. Done. Look, they announced, and handed her a mirror. She's astounded to see her hair braided around into a bun. It's almost time, one spoke. It does get dark and gory, by the way. Okay. It's gonna start getting edgy soon. Gotcha. Here's the thing with edgy stuff. If you do it well, it works. If you don't, it kind of doesn't, and it's really hard to do it well. And it depends on who your audience is. Who your audience is will determine what direction you have to go in order to do it well. If you're aiming for a younger audience, like edgy teens, then you have to go super edgy, and you have to try and make it take itself so fucking serious. Whereas, if you're aiming for like an older audience, like myself, who has a soft spot for edgy stuff, then what you want is to go in the opposite direction. You want it to be like gory and edgy, but you want it to be like dumb and over the top. You don't want it to be... You want it to be dumb and over the top, and it should take itself somewhat seriously, but not so seriously that it's like kind of cringe. It's a very delicate balance depending on what audience you're aiming for. It's something I've become more aware of over time. It's almost time. Okay. Pick a different track. I'll be fine. It's almost time, one spoke. A pipe organ began to play. A bead of sweat rolled down her brow, and took a deep breath and walked down the aisle. Birds of paradise and roses arranged in the most beautiful bouquet as the bells rang and the sun set over the gem trees. Wow, May looks gorgeous, Ira thought as he stood in the marble gazebo, which was surrounded by lilies and snapdragons. May walked up the marble steps and looked to her soon-to-be husband. And looked to face her soon... Okay. Do you, Ivor Collimore, take my Phalaris to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. And do you, my Phalaris, take Ivor Collimore to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. You may now kiss the... Before the pastor could finish, a sour Limaceras came running through and trampling everything from the gazebo to the guests. Everything. People just died. Should have called this chapter a chapter cut short because it's so damn short. Oh, it's called Love Cut Short. That's the meme. That's the title. May sat horrified by what had just happened. She was paralyzed with shock as she saw the Limasaurus take off. The young witch looked beside her to see a pile of rubble, and she rushed towards it, and then began moving the rubble out of the way. She didn't care about the sharp edges of the marble and continued to move it. Her hands began to bleed, but she hadn't noticed due to the adrenaline. In fact, she didn't even notice any of her other injuries either. She finally managed to unbury him, and what she saw, she didn't like at all. Like a waterfall, tears flowed down her cheeks as she stared at the remains of her husband. It was a gruesome sight, what she had seen. Okay, that's a pretty British way to write a sentence. It was a gruesome sight, what she had seen. Underneath the rubble was the corpse of Ivor. He was unrecognizable as blood dripped from his body. He looked like a sour Malawolf. He looked like sour Malawolf feed rather than a human being. They picked him up and held him close to herself. This can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be real. She kept saying to herself, tears running down her cheeks. Please wake up. Her dress was torn and stained with blood. Can't stay here, May said and gently placed Ivor back down. She got up on her quivering legs and ran. She didn't know where, but she kept running without looking back. The young witch had run into a forest, which was thick with thorns. May ran through as the thorns pierced her flesh, so blood ran down her arms and legs. Her vision was blurred by tears, in which made it so she could... Okay, that's a really confusing way to write that. The young witch's dress had been torn now to the point of it being a short dress. The place where she was running began to get rocky, and suddenly, a large rock came into her blurry field of vision. She tripped and fell face first into the large rock and blacked out as her blood spilled in the muddy ground. Chapter 11 is the chonky boy of them all? Okay. Alright. You're saying 7 is the better place to end it, so we're gonna read 7 and then we're gonna call it. Because if we're gonna finish like part way through, I'd rather have like enough chapters to make like a decently length stream later instead of like just like a couple. But based on considering how long it's taken us to get to this point, that was probably never really a concern. No? You meant chapter 6. Oh, okay. When you said, because we were at the beginning of chapter 6. When you said that there's one more to go, and that'll be a better cliffhanger, we were at the beginning of 6, so I thought you were talking about 7. Okay, alright. Okay, so then next time we'll do, we'll start with chapter 7. We'll finish here. Let me just bookmark this so I know which chapter we're going to start with next time. There we go. That would be the first 6 chapters of an 11-chapter Viva Pinata fanfic by Shadow Evil and Chat. I don't remember. I think you said it's like Shadow Evil or Shadow Evil, but like my problem is like EVAL. The only other context I have for that is like as a shortened, as like an abbreviation, a shortened version of evaluation. That's like my very tiny programming computer science brain coming to the surface there. What do I think will happen next? Well, I don't know any of these characters, so I have no idea. It's anybody's guess. The next chapter is called Reunion. It's very common. Okay. Maybe most people's brains do the same thing that my The next chapter is called Reunion, so I'm thinking either Ivor's a ghost now, or what was her name? Alyssa is going to turn out to be like May's long lost sister or something, because it's called Reunion. So if I had to make like some crackhead guess, those would be my first two crackhead guesses as to what's going to happen next. I got two things right, but not quite. Oh man, I feel like Bob. I feel like Bob playing Trails in the Sky when he does like his conspiracy board and he makes like wild guesses and he starts like throwing crazy shit at the wall, and eventually it's like, you know, you're getting some things right, but other things not so much. And some things that you're getting right aren't even for the game you're playing, it's for future games. Isn't anything to do with Alyssa or Ivor, but two things, long lost sister and a ghost, make my ideas. Well, I mean, her long lost sister is going to be the ghost. There. Done. Easy. Anyway. That was the first half of Dragonache Awakening. I know you said it's supposed to be Dragonache. Like, I just... ACHE, like every other word that shows up in English, it's like ache, headache, stomach ache, heartache. You know. Hedachacha. Remember the sour candy effects for next time? It'll come in handy for later. Oh, okay, so like that's like an important piece of the lore in regards to this story. Okay. That's kind of like Bob's story. It's kind of like post-fantasy, where like certain aspects of Toho lore are like really important to understand like what's going on in the story, but for the most part, you're probably fine. Like in this one, it's the bit about sour candy. In post-fantasy, it's the bit about how creatures of fantasies like yokai and gods are kind of like dependent on human belief. Like that's an aspect of the lore that is like there's some aspect of the lore of the original work that like these fanfics depend on. I don't want to say that they can't escape, because that implies that they don't want to be tied down by that rule. So more like they depend on it because it's actually what makes the narrative work. Do your best to show and not tell. You gotta connect the dots and figure out what's happening rather than just straight up being told. Okay. I appreciate that kind of storytelling when it's done well, because it's the kind of thing that I prefer to do. I prefer to leave certain things to reader interpretation. Especially if I think that they're things that aren't important to the narrative. For a couple of reasons. One, I think it's better if... I think it's more enjoyable for a reader to like critically engage in that way with a story. And two, when it comes to things that aren't like super important to the narrative, right? Like if knowing something about a character or like a part of the story doesn't really serve the narrative, sometimes for a reader that could be more fun just to imagine and think about than it is to just be straight up told what the answer is. So that's something I like to keep in mind when I like think of like story ideas and characters and stuff. Another thing though is, while I do think it's a good thing, while I do think that way of telling a story is good, I also think that you need to make sure that you're very upfront with the information that you do give and very clear with the information that you do give, because if you want the reader to connect their own dots, you need to provide them with the tools to do so. And that tool, the main tool, is going to be information. So if you don't give them enough information to actually reach the conclusions they should be reaching, or that you expect them to reach, you can't really be too shocked if they don't reach those conclusions. I'm not saying your story has done that. I'm just saying it's something you kind of want to watch out for. Because it's like, yeah, you want to make a story where the reader connects the dots and comes to these conclusions of their own, but at the same time, you have to make sure you're not like spoon-feeding them everything. But some stuff you just kind of have to hand over on a platter. Generally, like, just the most important stuff. But I can appreciate that way of storytelling. It's something I like that, and it's something I would like to do. If I were to like write like a kind of like long form kind of thing like that. You hope this wasn't too unbearable to read from an outside perspective. A very weird but wonderful fandom. You made a teacher cry once with this exact story too. It's a very small fandom, so outside perspectives think it isn't a fanfic, and it's just a regular story, so you can show others this. They see it as a normal story, which makes showing it a lot easier. Yeah, I mean, because, like, I get, okay, I know Viva Pinata's a thing, but I don't know anything about it, so, like, and especially because you told me, like, I know right away, right? But I don't know. I kind of get what you're saying. It didn't hit me the same way it hit your teacher, but it hit me different. But you know. Exactly. I mean, if I didn't know what Viva Pinata was, I think you're right. I think I might like just think, well, okay, two things. If I didn't know what Viva Pinata was, and also if it wasn't on fanfiction.net, I think I probably would maybe mistake it as like an OC story that maybe whose world maybe isn't really fully developed or fleshed out yet. Because it feels to me, especially like those early chapters, it feels to me like it's something I can criticize post fantasy for as well, because that's a blind spot for me with post fantasy. I know Toho lore way more than I know any Viva Pinata lore, right? So a lot of things where Baba might neglect to elaborate on in narration, my brain is like filling in a lot of the gaps because I know enough about Toho to like be like, okay, so this must be like that, and this must connect to this, and A plus B equals G. Whereas like with Viva Pinata, I don't really have that context so much. So when you name certain locations, like the desert, I don't have a frame of reference for like where on Pinata Island that is, especially compared to where like Alex got knocked out. Like, as far as I know, that could be like May's house could have been like literally right next to the coconut tree, or it could have been like 7 miles away. I don't have like a frame of reference for that. So that's what I mean when I say like, okay, I could mistake it as like something that's original, but like that's like sort of like underdeveloped in terms of setting. Like, that's what I mean when I say that. Because it's a fanfic, and somebody who's privy to the lore and the setting, they don't necessarily need that information. But somebody who's coming in completely blind, like myself, like they'll be like, okay, well, all right, but I don't know where this is relative to this other place. And in some ways, I could level that same criticism against the City of Zen in post-fantasy. But the thing about the City of Zen is that it's so far removed and so different from the setting of Gensokyo that I can almost like maybe forgive it a little more, because it's technically a different setting even for somebody who is familiar with the source material, right? As you said, it's bad in the early chapters, but later on it gets significantly better since it's closer to your current skill. To get the settings and crap, you'd recommend doing a tad bit of research. Yeah. Bit if it references or mentions a show. Oh, but if it references or mentions a show, do not look at it. Do not look into it. Oh, I don't understand that. I don't know. I know there was a Viva Pinata cartoon and there's a Viva Pinata game. I'm guessing the two are very different from one another to the degree that like they're barely even like really the same thing. Is that what I meant to understand here? The cartoon is not something to look at. Okay. You put yourself through that hell? I don't do it to myself. I don't understand, but okay. All right. I'll take your word for it. Yo, speaking of television shows that could be like pretty hit or miss, Don't Look in Images? This feels like a fucking SCP meme. This feels like, oh, this is a mimetic cognitohazard. Don't look at this, don't look at that. You're gonna fuck your brain up. Like... Just look up Viva Pinata Wiki. Go straight in there. Do not go into the images. Okay. Alright. Speaking of TV shows that could be hit or miss, I gotta watch the Cold Steel anime. I gotta watch the Northern War anime. And I gotta also watch the new Trigun anime. Because, who knows, they could be bad, but they could also be good. If they're good, I don't know, they might make me watch anime again. I don't know. The images are mostly from the show and get weird? As in 3-year-olds kind of show weird? Okay. Like, I vaguely remember, like, a Viva Pinata show being a thing, and I also kind of remember it being, like, a small children's show kind of thing. It's like, I don't know. I don't know, man. But anyway, that's gonna be it for now. I'm gonna let the current music play us out. I'm gonna put this away. Also, later tonight, may as well put this in chat, right? Later tonight, I'll be streaming Trails from Zero. That'll be in a few hours, actually. And also, I got this poll for anybody who watches this, anybody who's watching this this stream, or anybody who might be watching the VOD. You can go check out the other channel, streaming Trails from Zero, and also vote in that poll to force me to play one of the selected games on Monday, starting Monday. Oh, actually, I might not be able to stream Monday. I'll have to see how it goes. I'll have to see what happens, but I might not be able to stream on Monday. But the poll is still valid. The poll is still gonna be... The poll is still gonna be going until I have to stream the next Monday game, so it's fine. Anyway. Thanks for watching, for stopping by, chatting. See you all next time. Hopefully sometime next week. probably maybe around like a similar time. I feel like this was like really early, but it worked out. Look, the next streams, I'll be looking forward to the next readings. I think the next one for this one is gonna be like the last one, unless like chapter 11's like super long. But the entire fic is like 12,000 words long. We got through like about half of that. And again, to put it into perspective, chapter 2 of Post Fantasy was 11,000 words, and chapter 2 was like its own 3-hour stream. Just to kind of put that into perspective, like the word counts we're talking about here. So we might be able to finish a story next stream. You gonna get back to work on your next YouTube videos? Okay, good luck with that. Anyway, gonna let this play out. Gonna let it play another track, but we're gonna finish out with this. Thanks for watching, and see you later.